like it's like incredible. You can like go 1 or 2 miles an hour, and this thing just like, you get your feet up and you're fine, right? Hey guys, we're out here with the 07 M109R Boulevard, and we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of this machine. I think we've got 4 or 5 pros and cons, if I remember correctly. It'll say in the description. Let's get out there and check this machine out. Incredible looking machine. Got to show you the pipes on the side here. You'll hear them as they're riding because they're really loud, but check that thing out, man. The previous owner, this is a one-owner bike, and he really took good care of this machine. As a side note, if you got a little backrest in your bike, you can put your helmet on it, right? And that's the current little motovlog setup with the GoPro Hero 7, but we're going to be getting an Insta360 here, I believe, soon, and we're also going to be changing mics up and maybe getting like a Rode mic. So yeah, we're going to be getting some new gear soon, and let's get out there and talk about this incredible, huge machine. Out here on the M109R, and the first thing I want to talk about here, the first pro, is the incredible pull of this motor. I mean, that was a second gear pull there. It goes all the way up to 70. Didn't hit the red line yet. That's a lot. That wasn't full throttle either. But for a cruiser, I mean, this thing is pretty rowdy. And of course, you know, I mean, that's what the M109R was meant for. It's the biggest motor that Suzuki made at the time. Well, they still make, I believe. But it's not the biggest motor on the market because the Triumph Rocket 3 exists now, the new generation. That's what, like a 2500, so. Alright, yeah, the incredible pull of this motor. Like, you got torque in every gear. And it just, this thing just rips. Pretty incredible. So I'm out here on this big cruiser, right? And I'm in my full leathers, like I'm trolling, right? So I got my full Spidi suit on. But we're gonna hit some twisties after this, so that is why. And just because I like being safe on the road, no matter what I'm riding, if it's cruiser or not. I know some people probably think it's troll to be riding around with full leathers on a cruiser, but it's okay. It works for me, right? The boots shift everything well, works good. All right, so the second pro here is the stability of the wheelbase and the rear tire. So this has a 250 on the rear. Stock was 240, but the previous owner put a 250 on this. And these are Dunlop Elite 3s. So yeah, like going through this corner here, it is just incredibly stable. And when you're in a straight line, of course, too, a big rear tire, as you would think, lends itself to a lot of straight line stability. But it really, man, it feels really good. It's hard to describe. You guys who have ridden a bike with a really large rear tire before, you can let me know in the comments what you think. But I didn't think I was going to enjoy this as much as I do, but I do. It's very strange. So I haven't had a bike with this big of a rear tire before, and it feels great. I love it. I love the stability, the feel. It's not overly sluggish or anything. When you're up to speed, you know, handles decently well. Yeah, it's not going to flip around like an MT-07, but it handles really well. It's surprising. And that's my third pro, is the handling. It's unique. It's like when you're making a slow left turn or right turn, you know how you feel kind of like tipsy on a lot of other bikes, or at least I do on like sport bikes or some of the naked bikes that I've had. And this does not feel that way due to the size, due to the wheelbase and the size of the rear tire. It feels like it's like incredible. You can like go 1 or 2 miles an hour, and this thing just like, you get your feet up and you're fine, right? As a side note, if you guys just saw what happened there was a big bump, and my phone came off the RAM mount because it's a Fold 3. So I'm going to find a better solution, a better phone solution, because the Fold 3 is obviously too big for this mount. We'll see if we can get it to fit any better. Okay, that's locked in a little better there. Thankfully, it fell right into my lap. Get a phone mount that fits you guys. Get yourselves a phone mount that fits your phone, I guess, is the moral of that story. All right. Okay, so yeah, let's continue on here with the handling. If you haven't ridden a bike with a big rear tire, you really should, just to get the feel of it. It's a very unique, different feel. And it's something you can't really experience in a tire under maybe 200, because the stability that the large tires give you and the way that it turns, it feels like it almost feels like you're sitting on a, I don't know what, like a really wide, like your base is really, really wide, and when you go to turn, you've got like, I don't know if it's what the right term would be, like a huge contact patch, or you've got like it's like this, you got this huge oval you're sitting on, and as it rotates around, it gives you a lot of confidence, I guess is the right way I would put it. And it's a really cool experience. So if you have a chance to test ride one, or have a friend who has a tire, has a cruiser with a big rear tire, give it a ride for like, 10 minutes or something, and let me know what you think. I really enjoy it. So the fourth pro here is the seat. So this seat is pretty comfortable, man. I mean, it's just a stock seat, but it's huge. The seat is just absolutely massive. You probably saw it on the when I was doing the quick walk around at the beginning here with my with the other camera. So yeah, the seat is just absolutely massive, and it's got a huge what they call it, butt shelf, right? And yeah, it feels great. I haven't done a long distance trip on this. Most I've gone is probably, I don't know, 45 minutes or something like that. But absolutely no problems at all. It's big enough to where you can like slide around a little bit, and it's also got like upswept in the back, so it really keeps you in place when you're under hard acceleration, which, as you know, this bike does pretty well. So I think that they use the right seat for this bike. I wouldn't buy a Corbin or something. Maybe if you're doing like 4-hour days or something, but that isn't really the use case for this bike. This bike is more of a, it's a muscle cruiser, so you're going to be not doing long touring on it. Now, you could buy some bags and tour on it if you want to, but as far as I know, it's not a very common thing. So this seat is the perfect seat for the use case of this bike, I would say. We got a tractor up here, and we got a lot of trash in the road. See, like there, I was going real slow around that corner, and it never feels like tipsy. Like this is the center of gravity in this bike is incredible. It never feels like you're gonna tip over or have like a top heavy kind of moment on it. Like this, like taking this really slow left there. It just feels like planted and incredible. It's super confidence inspiring, and with low speed maneuvers in a really strange way that you wouldn't expect in a big bike. But I like it. We got some deer action up here around this time of night, crossing the road. Let's see how many we got. We got 3. You guys gonna go? Go, bro. Go. He went the other way. And the 5th Pro, which you just saw there, is the sound. This thing sounds incredible, and it's pretty loud. And the side effect is animals hear it out here in the country, which means if you need to, like went on there, I mean, I could have honked my horn too, I suppose, but you can rev the throttle a little bit and scare away stuff that's sitting on the side of the road if you need to, if you have time. I mean, if they're just running really hard and fast towards you, probably ain't gonna matter. But in that case, it was helpful, right? And boy, it sounds good. Take a listen to it. That sounds great. The exhaust on this is it could be Cobra's. A guy I was talking to recently said that he thought it was maybe some Cobras on here, but they're not labeled. They're not stock. The previous owner put aftermarket exhaust on this, and I really do like the sound of them. They're loud and like deep throaty without being so loud during the day anyway that you feel bad about about riding through a neighborhood or something, right? So that is the 5th Pro. Let's get into the cons here as we hit these twisties. Okay, the cons I'm going to demonstrate up here. The front brake feel. So front brakes are on, and it it builds pressure and works, but the front brake feel is very vague on this bike. Now I just found out recently too from the same guy I was talking to that the front brakes calipers in this can be swapped out for Gixxer 1000 front calipers, which I'm sure would make a massive difference. But the stock ones, the brake feel is not fantastic. It's quite vague. They stop the bike, and the rear is really good. Like, so I'm applying rear right now. I would say the rear is actually better than the fronts, and it's a cruiser, so I mean, you can actually use the rear on this as opposed to a sport bike. But yeah, the fronts are not fantastic. The rear brakes have a much better feel, and they're much more useful in my opinion. So here's another slow speed. Right, turn there, and it always confidence inspiring. Those slow speed, sharp, tight turns. So front brake feel not that bueno. All right, the con number 2 is a side effect of the stability is the weight, right? So when you're stopped, specifically trying to move this bike around in the garage or something, or in a parking lot, or from parking spaces, or whatever, you're standing next to the bike, you're moving it around, or even if you're sitting on it and you're just moving it, sitting on it, when it's not under its own power for some reason, you're backing it up or something like that, you can really feel the weight. This is about 700 pounds, and you can tell when this thing is not in motion, it's 700 pounds. It's a portly machine, and yeah, so the weight is definitely noticeable when you're at a full stop. But the side effect of the weight being so great on this, so heavy, I mean, is that it offers all that stability in slow speed corners. And I actually prefer the stability of this in the corner to the Hayabusa, because the Hayabusa is kind of top heavy, and I think it needs new tires as well. Or maybe it's just the type of tires that are on it, right? The type of tires that are on it are it's those Bridgestone Sport Touring tires, and they are there's a big bump back there. They are not fantastic, and it could just be the age of them too. But I talked about that, and I'll talk about that in a later video. Let's go on to the next con here on this big machine. So the sound with the Cobra pipes here, if they're Cobras, is also a con, I think, if you're riding late at night. Let's say you're a night rider and you ride at night a lot, and maybe you're in town or you're in a city or something. Well, this thing is pretty loud. If it's not when it's like just this, we're just putting around, right? Like that, it just sounds good now, it's fine. But if you are like, giving it like that, it's pretty loud. And I kind of like almost feel bad about it when I'm in town and late at night and there's people's houses, and then you give it, and I really try to not give it too hard. So like here, you're gonna give it some air. It is a serious machine. So you see how loud it was there? But I mean, I think it's not, now that I've got an R9 with the Torque exhaust, I understand the, now that I have an R9 with the Torque exhaust on it, the four outlets on that guy, and there's like basically no baffling at all in those things, it's just pipes coming out. Now I understand the true meaning of loud. So these seem quiet in comparison, but when I first got this, I thought this was massively loud. Now I guess I have something that's a little more ridiculous, so this doesn't seem as bad, but it sounds good. And the fourth con here, I'm gonna go with the and the fourth con here is the price of the back tire replacement of these tires, because of the size of them. The tires are big, well, specifically the rear tire. it's pretty huge. And the side effect of that is, well, you get that cool feel that we're talking about, and that security in corners and stability and hooking up under, you know, it hooks up good because of all the power. But when you got to replace the rear tire, we're talking, you know, $250, $260, $270 for just the rear tire. So that's something to think about if that cost is a what would you call it, if you're very cost conscious on bike repairs and things like that, and you want to get something that's just cheap to maintain, this is, I mean, it's not the worst thing to maintain. It's not Ducati or, you know, or something like that, or Aprilia, where you know, or BMW, where the dealership's going to charge you an arm and a leg. But I guess it depends on your dealership too. But that being said, if you're cost conscious on maintenance, I would say that this is probably not the way to go, at least as far as tire replacement goes. But I was talking to the guy that does my work too, and he was just saying that the rear tires in this are a little bit of a bigger pain to replace. So he charges like an extra, you know, $30-40 or something like that, just because the rear tire is a big pain. And then oil changes in this are a little bit more difficult, although not that bad. It's just that you have to like turn the bike on and off and cycle it, get the oil flowing and check it again. And it's just, there's more of a what would you say? There's more of a procedure to it. So sometimes bigger bikes, you know, they have higher maintenance costs a bit. It's just the way it is. But I thought I'd put it in the cons because it's just something to think about if you're thinking about getting one of these bikes. It's not massively higher. It's just a little bit higher. But hey, if you love the machine, like guys that do, you know, love old Ducatis and stuff, if you love the machine and the way it feels, you'll either do your own maintenance or you'll, you know, pay a little higher cost, just because that's the cost, part of the cost of ownership of a specialized machine like this, or a Ducati or something like that, or even some BMWs. Although older BMWs, especially the Boxer twins, I've worked on, had one I worked on it myself, and they're pretty easy to maintain. It's mostly like the newer stuff. At least that's what I've heard, because the dealership will get you on some of that. So I think that's there's not a lot of cons to this bike, to be honest with you guys. It's just, you know, that's about it for the cons. It's, you know, the maintenance, and then the weight of it when you're moving it around on your own, under its own power anyway. And yeah, the front brakes are not a great feel, but you know, that can be changed too. There's just not a lot of cons for this bike. And some of these bikes, you guys have probably heard this in internet forums, but some of these bikes have, especially before 2010, had a bit of a transmission issue, like with second gear, where it can slip out of gear if it's ridden really hard over, you know, a long period of time. So then you guys would take the 2010 and newer gears and swap them into these bikes, and that was basically the fix as far as I can tell. And this one, it hasn't been done to this one, but this one hasn't had a problem or anything. Alright guys, well, this bike is a surprising motorcycle for me. I thought I was going to like it, and I do, but it's a lot of bike for me. It's a really heavy bike. So I think what I'm going to end up doing is probably selling or trading this bike, and then when I want a cruiser again, I'm going to get something a little bit lighter, just because it is super cool to ride. But man, at slow speeds, the weight of this is not to be underestimated. And also the maintenance cost, like I talked about, is one of the things for me that if I want to find a cruiser I'm going to ride the heck out of, I want something that's going to be a little lighter than this, and something that isn't going to cost an arm and a leg if I'm going to put a bunch of miles down. So I think I'm probably going to end up going with the Scout. If I can find one, the Indian Scout, if I can find one at a decent price. I've seen people find them around $7,000 or $8,000 for like almost no miles around up here in Wisconsin. So I'll probably end up going with like an 18 or 19 Scout if I can find one around $7,000. So yeah, I think that is what I will probably do here. But thanks for watching, you guys, and I appreciate you guys joining me in another ride review here, another pros and cons ride review. I've lost track of how many machines we have tested here, but it has been a lot. I don't know if we're coming up on 20 or something like that. Might be. Oh yeah. This thing is a lot of fun. All right. Thanks again for watching, you guys. I appreciate everybody. I hope everybody's doing well, and you're having a good riding season this year. We will see you guys in the next one. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoy this content.